Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill has represented New Jersey's 11th congressional district since 2019. She's now turning her sights to being governor of that state, and she faces a race against an opponent named Jack Ciattarelli, who frankly is just a Trump acolyte who promises to bring Trumpism to New Jersey, even more so than that state has with somebody like Alina Habba at the helm of the U.S. Attorney's Office. I got the chance to sit down and speak with the Congresswoman as she's in the throes of the fourth quarter of this race. Only 41 days to go until Election Day. Her race and that of Virginia of Abigail Spanberger is being watched carefully. It is said that these two races are bellwethers of what's to come for the midterms in 2026. Take a listen to what Congresswoman Sherrill had to say about why her role as governor would protect all residents of New Jersey. And now I do have the honor of being able to spend some time with Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill, who's currently running to be the next governor of the great state of New Jersey. Congresswoman, it is a privilege to be able to spend some time with you today. How you doing? 41 days out.
I know. I'm doing great. And thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so straight out of the gate, I want to share with you that with my viewers, subscribers, followers, I always emphasize now the importance of people shifting their focus to local and state races. I think that's not only a necessity and a very practical approach, but I also think it's a reflection of just our realities. I think people really want to be kind of closer and more connected with their electeds. And candidly, I as well feel like there is a disconnect these days with some of our electeds in DC. Why did you decide to go from continuing to maybe serve on a federal level, on a national level, and try to go back to state politics?
So we have been losing power federally for a while now, and now we see Trump in the presidency pretty much owning the Senate and the House and the Supreme Court. I mean, we are just losing power massively federally, and we have to take it back at the state level. This is where we can really set up a beachhead, if you will, to protect against the economic attacks, the sheer corruption that continues to come out of Washington, driving in support for families, driving down cost, clawing back money from Washington, and protecting rights and freedoms. All of that now has to take place at the state level, and you need executive power to do that, which is why I decided to run for governor.
You know, one of the pillars or the two pillars of your campaign and platform include affordability and freedom. For those naysayers out there that want to suggest that those two things cannot coexist, explain why it actually makes sense.
Well, I think it's really incredibly important for so many people, myself included, as somebody who has seen opportunity increase throughout my lifetime for women. I graduated in the first class from the Naval Academy who could serve in combatant ships and aircraft. And that opened up a whole new opportunity for me. And now I'm seeing all of those rollbacks take place, whether it's the attacks on women in service or the attacks on women's reproductive health, and across the board, the erasure of Black history. Again and again, we're just seeing attacks on so many of the gains many of us have made. So it's really important to fight back for our rights and freedoms. But at the same time, there is wholesale corruption going on at the federal level. Donald Trump is enriching himself and his family to the tune of billions. And I mean, imagine what it takes to make billions with an S of dollars in 9 months. I'll tell you what it takes. It takes holding the market of the United States captive as you run really an extortion racket across the world with this tariff regime. And who ends up paying? The people of this country, people in New Jersey, working families who are seeing their costs go up everywhere as Trump enriches himself. And I have an opponent who is going to go right along with him. He said things like, it's my job to support the president. I'll never take the president to court. Well, we just took the president to court in New Jersey and clawed back $3 million, for example, in Patterson and Title I education funding. So for a state that just bleeds money to the federal government, it is going to be critically important to have a governor that can both take this administration to court and claw back that funding, and then drive forward on driving down costs and protecting rights and freedoms in the state, and with a coalition of other strong states as we claw back that power from the federal government.
We're seeing strong governors fighting back from Gavin Newsom to JB Pritzker. I mean, the list goes on. And it's good to see that you also are a fighter and you're trying to take that battle back to protect the people of New Jersey. Full confession, I am a huge fan of your New Jersey Attorney General, Matthew Platkin, on a personal and professional level. I've had him on the show to talk about the work that he's doing as a part of the Democratic Attorneys General organization. And you're right, association, excuse me. And you're right. But for Democratic governors and Democratic attorneys general, things are not getting done in states because there is a total chokehold that has been, implemented and enforced by Donald Trump. Why is Jack Ciattarelli, who I believe truly fits the label acolyte of Donald Trump, why is he so particularly dangerous to the residents of New Jersey?
That, that would take probably a lot longer than we have today, but I can just start to chart out why. Because, we had a saying in the Navy, which was shipmate self, meaning you came last when you were serving people, when you were in a position of service. Jack Ciattarelli, I often think, must have some mantra of self trump self. He, like so many people in the Trump administration, wants to do whatever it takes to get ahead for himself. And he thinks that's doing whatever Trump tells him to do. And that is so contrary to what it is going to take to help the people of New Jersey. Like I said, costs are going up everywhere. I talked to Chuck, a coffee store owner in my state, who was saying a bag of coffee beans cost about $2.50, and now it's costing $6.57. So imagine that. That's in every small business I talk to. Small business is going out of business, costs going up on people across the state, and they're already struggling with an affordability crisis. And then we have the one big beautiful bill, which is going to add costs to electricity, to healthcare, to housing. So at every level, we're seeing huge increases in costs. And Jack Ciattarelli is going to go right along with it because it's good for him. But here's the thing. If we want to truly put an end to what we are seeing coming from the Trump administration, this race is critical. Because this race in New Jersey, there are only 2 races in the entire nation right now that are statewide races. My race here, and then Abigail Spanberger, who's fantastic in Virginia. These 2 races set the table for every House member running next year, for a third of the Senate running next year, for I think 36 governors running next year. These 2 races are critical. If we do well in these races, if we come together as a strong party, investing in working people, focusing on affordability and protecting rights and freedoms, if we do that, I think we have a huge opportunity here. And I'll tell you, I go around the state, and surprisingly, this is the least partisan election I've run in because people are really feeling that they have not been heard. They're mad at both parties. So we as Democrats have an opportunity here to say, no, this is what we are fighting for, and we're listening to you, and we're fighting for it because we're hearing from all of you. And that's going to be really powerful. We're already seeing it on the ground in New Jersey. And what we build here is going to be so important for next year, which is why I'm going to encourage everyone on your show to go to MikieSherrill.com, to chip in, to phone bank, to Canvas, to just help us create this powerful momentum that we need in New Jersey so we can really help across the country.
Yeah, I don't have to tell you that the big bullshit bill, as I call it, there's immediate impact, and then there's going to be the collateral impacts that are happening, some of which were strategically planned to be rolled out post midterms 2026 by the Republicans. We're on the eve of yet another shutdown. We don't need another BS continuing resolution to kick the can down the road. I personally have actually called for the shutdown to happen on behalf of Senate Dems. But I think it's important, though, that people realize how critical a role the governor now plays in people's lives. I, unfortunately, am in the state of Florida. So I know what the double whammy impact it is on me as a business owner, a mom with a kid in public school, and somebody who has an elderly mother, although don't tell her I called her elderly because she'll get pissed. But I understand what it's like when you have a Republican governor and a Republican AG, a Republican House, a Republican Surgeon General, and they're all kowtowing to what Donald Trump wants and what the GOP wants, and there's no light. There's no light in between them. There's no independent thought. Talk about why it's also important as a mom, as a wife, as a longtime resident in New England, but especially for New Jersey, in New Jersey for so long. You've built family there and roots. You've built roots there. Why is it so important for you to be able to assume this role of leadership?
Wow, you've raised so many things. And I guess I'll start by saying, if you don't have a backstop in your state and you see Trump trying to roll back vaccines like measles, mumps, rubella,
exactly. Yeah.
you see the cuts to education, and you don't have somebody to stand up for you in your state against all these things, you see really bad things happen really, really quickly. I was just talking to some women in Oklahoma yesterday who were telling me that I think in a very short period of time, Oklahoma went under Democratic leadership years ago. So I think about 16 years ago, from 14th in the nation for schools down to dead last. And they have schools in rural Oklahoma where school children are only going to school 4 days a week. And yet at the same time, they don't have enough money to send children to school 5 days a week, but they have enough money to buy Trump Bibles. So Trump is making money everywhere. And so if you do not have a governor who is going to stand up for people and who is going to stand up against the wholesale corruption coming out of Washington and is going to actually stand up for you and your needs and your interests and driving down your costs and protecting your family, then you are in a really bad spot. So that is why governors are working together right now. There is a Northeast coalition, there is a West Coast coalition, for example, already to say, no, insurance companies are going to have to provide basic vaccines. The MMR vaccine, which has been in place for 50 years. We're here in New Jersey. We have the most densely populated state in the nation. If we don't have childhood vaccines, we've already had 10 cases of measles. We have babies dying across the country from whooping cough because the vaccine level's sinking so low. Imagine having a baby at home when you send your child off to elementary school and they come home with God knows what because you no longer have access to vaccines. And then I'll just say, as a woman, you know, the whole discussion of the president and deciding that Tylenol leads to autism, I remember being pregnant. It's really scary. Being pregnant, everybody thinks it's just this natural thing and you just get pregnant and you have your baby and great.
No.
It didn't feel that way to me. It felt incredibly scary. And people would come to me all the time with horror stories of miscarriages or how a baby was harmed during pregnancy and what that led to. And I was always scared to death. And the one person I just felt like I could rely on was my OB, right? Somebody who I could talk to, like, well, what do the studies say about this? Well, why should I not eat this? Well, what about soft cheese or lettuce or sushi? I mean, there always seemed lunch meat. I mean, there was always some, and every time I got pregnant, there was some new list of no-no. So I would have somebody I could talk to say, okay, so why are people saying this? How did they study this? What does it look like? And for the president and RFK Jr. to just put out medical advice that I often feel like they get on TikTok or Reels from 20-year-old influencers, when you're already operating at like an 11 as far as stress and anxiety, I feel for all these moms who are just, I remember pregnancy as being so scary, and the president now, without any information or medical degree, I mean, he's now the person that's just going to randomly, wake up in the middle of the night and think like, you know what I think, and now I'm going to make it so. This is why we need strong governors. We are going to continue in the Northeast to put out clear guidelines and make sure people know what to do to keep themselves and their families safe and healthy.
Yeah, and especially when it comes with the imprimatur of being official, right? Because it's coming from an official federal government official like RFK Jr. and coming from the White House. I quickly wanted to follow up with you about something that deals with New Jersey specifically, which is a lot of people may not know. They know of your 9 years active duty Navy helicopter pilot. I thank you for your service sincerely, especially in light of what's happening to our Department of Defense and our armed forces right now under Pete Hegseth. But a lot of people may not know you also served as an assistant United States attorney, and you also were in private practice at an incredibly competitive law firm. And you have a lot of training as well as a lawyer, which I think comes in handy when you're a governor, frankly, when you have to go to battle over things. One thing that I've been paying attention to, I've been following and covering closely here at my news channel, is Alina Habba, for whom I have no respect. And because of her refusal to step down and to actually read the room, as I say, federal prosecutions, criminal prosecutions have come to a screeching halt. So much so that other judges and other federal courts in other states are having to decide the future of cases that were brought under her tenure as U.S. attorney. It obviously poses an incredible risk to the public safety of New Jersey residents. And it's because she is a Trump loyalist. It's because she's doing what Trump wants her to do in that role. Talk about how, as a lawyer serving in the role of governor, having that legal training and experience, how that makes a critical difference than somebody like Jack Ciattarelli.
Yeah, wow. That is my old office, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark, where Alina Habba now illegally sits. And so, as you mentioned, a lot of cases have been brought against the fact that she's there illegally. So, of course, cases can't proceed, which leads to real problems in public safety. She said things like she's going to turn New Jersey red. That is inappropriate for somebody who is an officer of the court to suggest you're supposed to serve justice blindly. So she now, I think, is investigating the governor, the attorney general. She's, I believe, indicted a sitting member of Congress. She arrested and tried to prosecute the mayor of our largest city until the video came out showing him completely innocent and exonerating him, which is when she then went after the sitting member of Congress. So she'll stop at nothing to carry out Trump's agenda and to really undermine the functioning of our court system and our public safety. And what's so troubling is that, again, Jack Ciattarelli, my opponent, has suggested that he's in line with all this. He said he doesn't disagree with anything Trump's done, and he's going to reform the New Jersey court, much like Trump did in Washington. So he presents this really clear and present danger to our rights and freedoms and to the operation of public safety in our state. So again, at every level, he is trying to import a lot of the bad practices that drive up costs for everybody at every single level, and then work in lockstep so we can continue funneling money into Trump's pockets and not hold anyone accountable here in the state. So Jack Ciattarelli is not only an incredible threat to New Jersey, but should he in any way prevail here, this is an extension of Trump's power into a state that should be part of the Northeast coalition standing against him, a state that we desperately need to be standing in the breach. So New Jersey is really critical. We always in New Jersey think we're the center of the world anyway, but right now truly is the center of where the fight is as we start to work to take back expansive power in our state so we can really protect people across this country.
So I definitely want to remind people, where can they go to learn more, to volunteer, to give, to be able to provide the support that you need? We are in the red zone, 41 days out from a major bellwether election. Where can they go?
They can go to mikiesherrill.com /volunteer/contribute. There are so many ways to support. And so if you are nearby, if you're in Philly or New York, cross the river, come help us canvass. We really need it. If you are farther away and can't get over here, set up a phone banking group, a postcard writing group, a text banking group. Let us know. We can support you there. We can get you on our emailing list to send out information about what's going on here and how important it is. So please reach out. We really need a big win here in Jersey.
Well, Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill, it is an honor to spend time with you. Thank you again for your service, truly, for our country. A real patriot you are. And look, I would wish you luck, which I will do, but you don't need it because you got this one and we're here to support you. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it so much and have a great one.
Thanks. Katie Phang here. We launched the Katie Phang News Channel in partnership with the Midas Touch Network so we could bring you the latest in legal and political news. Straight, no chaser. So if you're a fellow truth teller, hit that subscribe button and share the word about this channel so we can build a high information America together.